How would your life and business be different if you were more confident? What if you stepped into who you are with outrageous confidence? How would that change your life and your business? That's exactly what we'll be speaking about today is how to step into who you are with outrageous confidence. Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Wiz, and welcome to Biz Success in 15, where we speak about mindset, visibility, influence, and the three of those equals profits in your business. My mission is to guide entrepreneurs to step into who they are with outrageous confidence so that they can build a life and a business of their choosing. Years ago, I was at a conference and I stood on stage. My knees were wobbling, my voice was shaking, and I was sobbing. And I was holding on to Eric for dear life. He was my security blanket at that moment in time. I was standing in front of 800 people, and I started out by saying, it dawned on me that I had been playing small in my business because I was afraid of big, strong men. The audience started to laugh, but they were quickly quieted when I said, you see, I was sexually, physically, and mentally abused by my father growing up. I was also sexually abused by two family friends. I got married at the age of 18 to a man much like my father. And it wasn't until I was 35 years old that anybody even told me that my life was my choice. And as I stood there crying and Eric was, holding on to me, I explained that during the exercise at the event, Eric walked up to me and said, "Can I give you a hug?" When he said that, something inside of me broke. Now, I actually realize now that something inside of me healed, but when I was speaking, I did say something inside of me broke. And then I started sobbing more, and I just couldn't think, I couldn't talk. It was one of the craziest experiences ever. But it dawned on me that I had this invisible sign on my forehead that said, if you're a man, stay away from me. Don't talk to me. Don't hug me. I want nothing to do with you. In my entire business, I had only worked with women because I was afraid of men. And there's nothing wrong with choosing to work with women, but I did it out of fear. I did it out of having to feel like I was worthy enough to talk to women, but not to men. And so as I stood up on that stage, I explained that because of my past, I felt like I was a teeny weeny ant. And that if I tried to play big, men would stomp on me like a little tiny ant. And that terrified me. And it was keeping me from so much life. It was keeping me from being fully authentic. It was keeping me from stepping into who I was with outrageous confidence. And that is my dream for you, is for you to have outrageous confidence. Here's a picture of me. What happened was I had said that whenever Eric came up to me and asked me to hug me, something inside of me broke. Well, gentlemen in the audience jumped up on stage to give me a hug. And within a minute, all these men were surrounding me. Yep, I'm in there somewhere in the middle of all these men who were surrounding me with pure, unconditional love. It was a huge healing moment for me. Now, had I thought for one moment, I wouldn't have stepped up on that stage in front of 800 people and told them about my life story. But I didn't think I was driven. It was like there was somebody inside of me forcing me to get up on that stage and share my story. Afterwards, so many people came up to me, both men and women, saying, "You helped heal me. Your story is similar to mine. You helped me understand my wife or my daughter or my sister or my mother." It was such a healing moment for so many people. Now, had I not stepped up, how many people would not have been helped that day? How many people would not have had a little bit of a healing? And that's why it's so important for you to step into who you are with outrageous confidence so that you can help those that you're meant to help. You have a message, you have a mission to share. And when you're not sharing it and you're not showing up authentically, you are not being true to the people that you're meant to serve. So, what is outrageous confidence? If you look at, there you are. If you look at, okay, confidence is full trust, belief in the powers, trustworthiness, or reliability of a person or thing. It's the belief in oneself and one's powers or abilities. It's self-confidence, resilience, and assurance. That's what confidence is. And what is outrageous? Outrageous is highly unusual or unconventional. It's extravagant. It's remarkable. It's very bold, unusual, or startling. So for you to have outrageous confidence, all it means is that you need to step up and do something that's bold or unusual or startling. It doesn't mean that it's going to be bold or unusual to everybody else in the world, but it's something that you ordinarily would not do. For example, years ago, I was at another conference, and my roommate told me that my sweater made me look fat and frumpy. No woman wants to be told she looks fat and frumpy, right? And she goes, "I would never wear that sweater in public again. I would only wear it in my house." So for 2 years, I only wore that sweater in my house because I didn't want to be fat and frumpy. One day it was chilly outside and I had some errands to run. So I just grabbed my sweater and I went out and ran these errands. I went to 3 different stores. At each store, somebody stopped and told me how beautiful I was and how beautiful my sweater was and complimented me. And I thought, why in the world am I listening to this one lady that told me I looked fat and frumpy? When obviously it wasn't everybody's opinion. So I went home. I had my husband take a full-length picture of me wearing my sweater, and I sent it to my entire email list. This was me being outrageously confident. It was me doing something bold, startling, and unusual for me. And so it doesn't have to be something huge. It just needs to be something. And the more you do this, the more you start taking action and stepping into doing something that's unusual or bold or startling for you, the more confident you're going to be and the more outrageously confident you will be. So what stops us from being confident? First off, we have the naysayers. The naysayers, you know who they are. They walk around with this heavy cloud over their head. It's doom and gloom. They're the first people to tell you, "Oh my God, I wouldn't do that. If you share your writing, you're going to be a laughing stock. If you do that, people are going to hate you. You're so stupid for writing your book. Why do you want to share your story with the world? Who do you think you are, anyways, to be teaching what you're teaching? You're never going to succeed." These are the naysayers, and we all know them. We all have them, sadly, in our family and maybe even some of our friends. When I wrote my book, Overcoming dark family secrets. About my life, my sister in law actually told me, "You are so stupid for sharing your story." And I just smiled at her and said, "Thanks for sharing your opinion." Because I have learned over the years how not to let the naysayers disrupt my mission in my life. So if it's not the naysayers, the other thing that wreaks havoc with your confidence are simply all of those gremlins. The gremlins are all those voices in your head. You can't say that. They're not going to like you. Somebody's going to tell you you're wrong. You don't have enough knowledge to share that. There's so many other people out there that's already shared it. And what do you have to offer? And you're never going to make money at that. You might as well just do your 9 to 5 job every day. These are the gremlins, and they're the voices in our head. Now, the thing with gremlins is that more often than not, these voices in your head are not yours. They're from other people. Earlier, whenever I was saying like the naysayer that said, if you share your writing, you're going to be a laughing stock. My father said that to me, and that became one of my gremlins. And so I was always like, I couldn't share what I wrote. I didn't want to be a laughing stock. So whenever you think of the naysayers are these people who are in your face telling you, no, don't do it, stop. And remember, they love you and they really have well intentions, but they're not basing their opinion off of who you are. And they may even be afraid of you stepping up into who you truly are. They may be afraid of you getting outrageous confidence and succeeding, but they're telling you this because they themselves would not be able to do it. It's a reflection of who they are. It's not a reflection of who you are. So the gremlins, these are the voices in our head 99.9% of the time. They're voices from our past. So when you start getting these little voices, ask yourself, whose voice is it? A few years back, I was doing something and I actually said this to somebody. I go, I've just always been bad with money. And I thought to myself, whose voice is that? It was my ex-husband's voice. He is the only person in my entire life that ever told me that I was bad with money. So the first question, whose voice was it? It was my ex-husband's. The second question, is it my truth or do I want it to be my truth? I didn't want that to be my truth, that I was bad with money. Who would want that to be their truth? The third question is, am I willing to let it go? And sometimes we're not willing to let it go because it becomes a part of our identity. And we're afraid, like, who are we going to be if we let this go? So the third question, am I willing to let it go? And if you say yes to that, which I did, the fourth question is, what will I replace it with? You see, so many people try to let go of beliefs, all these gremlins and naysayers. They try to, shove them out the window and make them run down the street, but it doesn't work. They are going to be with us forever. However, when we start replacing what they're saying with more positive beliefs that are our truth, then we are able to truly let go of it and we're able to move forward. So the question is, what am I going to replace it with? I'm good with money. So every time I started thinking I'm bad with money, I automatically replace that with I'm good with money. So learn to replace those thoughts from the naysayers and gremlins in your life and learn to step into who you are with outrageous confidence by taking actions that you normally wouldn't take. And going along with the naysayers and gremlins, there was a group of frogs and they were hopping through the jungle and they were all happy and excited. And two of the frogs fell in a deep, deep, deep hole. And so the frogs started jumping and jumping and jumping, trying to get out. And all the frogs gathered around the hole and they're looking down and they're going, come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And the frogs jumped with all their might. And they were getting so tired and so exhausted. And the frogs up top, they thought, this hole is too deep. Those frogs are never going to get out. So they started shouting, just lay down and die. Stop wasting your energy. Stop trying so hard because it's useless. It's impossible to jump out of this hole. So one of the frogs laid down and died. The other frog kept jumping and jumping. And the frogs are like, stop using your energy. Just lay down and die. And the frog kept jumping and jumping. And he jumped out of the hole. And whenever he jumped out of the hole, all the other frogs were like, man, we're really glad you're alive. And we're super excited that you jumped out of the hole, that you're safe. But how come you didn't listen to us when we told you that it was useless, that it was impossible to jump out of the hole? And the little frog looked at all the other frogs and he goes, I'm deaf. I thought you were cheering me on. So whenever you look at the naysayers in your life and the gremlins, just reverse it and say, they are cheering me on. So with that, I have a 15-minute exercise for you to do so you can step into who you are with outrageous confidence. I want you to ask 5 of your friends and family to share 3 things that they absolutely love about you and ask them 3 things that they think that you could work on. And then review these. And what I want you to do is I want you to own the positive. Most of us, we can I see that that's not one of my good traits. I need to work on that. But I don't want you to focus on those. I want you to focus on what they say is good about you, your strengths, and own it, because this is how other people see you. They see your strengths. They see your brilliance. They see your love. And this is how I hope that you start seeing yourself. And so go out there and step into who you are with outrageous confidence. Be sure to join me next week for another episode of Biz Success in 15. Big hugs. Bye-bye.